The ballroom of the Caldwell Grand Hotel shimmered like a diamond under the Manhattan night. Crystal chandeliers swayed. Soft jazz floated through air that smelled of money, ambition, and secrets. Ayanna Blake walked in like the world owed her attention. And it did. Every head turned. Not because of the emerald silk gown that hugged her frame, but because of her presence. The kind that said, "I built myself. From nothing." At 32, she was the founder of Archie Line, a luxury tech fashion brand that had taken over social media by storm, merging AI with couture. She was elegance and innovation stitched together in one breathtaking woman. But tonight wasn't about glamour. It was about survival. Archie Line's biggest investor had pulled out without warning 2 weeks ago. The company's valuation had dropped. A silent storm was brewing, and she was here to find a new partner before everything she built crumbled. She'd heard whispers about Damon Cross, the reclusive billionaire who built Crosstech Holdings from a garage to an empire. He rarely attended events, rarely smiled. Rumor said he fired entire teams when disappointed and once ended a merger because the other CEO arrived 5 minutes late. Tonight he was here, and he was watching her. From across the hall, Damon stood tall. Dark tuxedo, cold gray eyes that absorbed the world rather than admired it. His jaw was sharp, but his silence sharper. Every movement measured, calculated, dangerous. When his gaze met Ayanna's, the crowd blurred. Not attraction at first. Recognition of power meeting power. He moved toward her slowly, glass in hand, eyes never leaving hers. "Ms. Blake," he said, voice low, deliberate. "The woman everyone's been whispering about." "That depends," she replied, matching his calm. "Whispers can be dangerous when the truth threatens them." A faint smirk touched his lips. "I admire that confidence. Most people avoid my eyes at events like this. Maybe they're afraid of what you'll see," she said. "Or what you'll take." The words hung between them, electric, charged. He leaned slightly closer. "And you're not afraid?" She smiled. "I've been underestimated by men with more money and less courage. Fear isn't part of my portfolio." For the first time in months, Damon laughed. It was quiet, disbelieving. "You're not like the others," he murmured. "Neither are you," she said softly. "That's the problem." They spoke for almost an hour about markets, innovation, risk, and the loneliness of power. She realized he wasn't as cold as the media painted him. He was sharp, yes, but there was something wounded behind the arrogance. Something like guilt. By midnight, he'd made her an offer. A merger that could save her company. He wanted 40% stake, access to Archie Line's patents, and her to remain as CEO. It sounded perfect. Too perfect. Her best friend and CFO, Jordan, warned her later that night, "You can't trust Cross. He doesn't partner. He consumes." But Ayanna signed the preliminary agreement anyway. She needed him. 3 weeks later, the press exploded with headlines. Crosstech acquires Archie Line in full buyout. Ayanna Blake removed as CEO. She read the news standing in the lobby of her own building. Security already escorting her out. Her signature was still wet on the last contract she'd signed. He'd moved through loopholes she hadn't seen, clauses buried deep in the fine print. Her voice shook as she called him. "Damon, tell me this isn't true." Silence. Then his voice, calm as ice. "It's business, Ayanna. You're too emotional. Archie Line will grow faster under my control. You said partnership. I said survival. And you'll survive this." She stared at her reflection in the glass walls. The woman who'd fought through years of rejection, sexism, and sleepless nights. Now erased by a man who smiled while doing it. That night, she walked along the Brooklyn Bridge in the freezing wind, her phone buzzing with journalists asking for comment. She whispered to the city lights, "You wanted power, Damon Cross? Fine. But you just declared war on the wrong woman." And in that moment, something in her broke, and something else was born. Not tears, not weakness, but vengeance polished in silence. She disappeared from New York for 6 months. No one knew where she went. Until one morning, the world woke up to a new headline. Archie Line founder launches rival brand, Vera Incorporated, valued at $2.1 billion in 48 hours. Ayanna Blake was back, and she wasn't coming to negotiate. 6 months after her fall, Ayanna Blake was everywhere. Her new company, Vera Incorporated, launched like a bullet.
A luxuritat revolution.
Seamless, stunning, and unapologetically black-owned. Her image was on every magazine cover: Forbes, Vogue, Business, Fortune. Reporters called her the Phoenix of Manhattan, and Damon Cross hated every headline. He watched from his office in the Crosstech Tower, 50 floors above the city, as her face glowed on the building across from his. She had stolen the spotlight, the market, and perhaps something deeper he didn't want to name. His assistant, Logan, entered quietly. "Sir, Vera's market cap just surpassed Crosstech by 12 million this morning." Damon didn't look up. Numbers fluctuate. They've been fluctuating one way for weeks. A pause. Then Damon set his glass down. Find out who's backing her. No one scales that fast without a ghost investor. Across town, Ayanna's new office overlooked Central Park, sunlight bouncing off marble floors. "I want Vera to become what Crosstech could never be," she said to her team. "Elegant, ethical, unstoppable." Her tone was crisp, commanding, but inside, she still burned. Every decision, every headline, every late-night design, all of it was fuel for the betrayal she refused to forget. Still, some nights, when the city went quiet, she'd catch herself remembering the man beneath the monster, the one who had laughed softly at her courage that night in the ballroom. Then she'd bury the thought. Revenge didn't have room for nostalgia. A month later, the Global InnovateX conference was the biggest tech summit of the year, and for the first time Vera and Crosstech were both headline sponsors. The event glittered with cameras and billionaires. Ayanna arrived in a white suit that made her skin glow like bronze fire. Heads turned. Conversations stopped. Then the hall stilled completely, because Damon Cross was walking toward her. Their first meeting since the betrayal. The air tightened. Reporters held their breath. He stopped a few feet away, his expression unreadable. "Ms. Blake," he said. "Mr. Cross," she returned coolly. "I hope your empire's still standing." "Barely," he said, a faint edge of humor in his tone. "You've been busy. Success is louder when it's built from pain." "You think I don't know pain?" His eyes flashed, the first crack in his composure. "I think you cause it for sport." Cameras clicked furiously. The tension was so thick, it felt choreographed. He leaned closer, his voice dropping. "We should talk. Privately." "About what?" "About the truth." They met later that evening, away from the crowd, in a quiet lounge at the rooftop of the Conrad Hotel. City lights shimmered below like scattered diamonds. Ayanna folded her arms. "You have 5 minutes. Then I leave." Damon looked exhausted, not the polished titan from before. His tie loosened, his eyes shadowed. "You think I planned to steal your company," he began. "But that deal, it wasn't me. My legal head slipped in a clause after I signed. By the time I found out, the transfer was done." She let out a sharp laugh. "That's convenient. It's the truth." "Then why didn't you stop it?" "Because I couldn't. My board would have turned on me. Crosstech was bleeding cash at the time. That deal was their lifeline. I took the hit to protect what I'd built." She shook her head. "You didn't protect anything. You destroyed someone who believed in you." Damon's gaze softened for the first time. "Ayanna, I never wanted to hurt you. I tried to reach you. You blocked me. Because you lied. Because I didn't know how to explain." Every word sounded like an excuse. The silence that followed was thick with what-ifs. Finally, she whispered, "You ruined me, Damon. Then let me fix it." "I don't need fixing. I built myself back without you." Her voice trembled. Not from weakness, but from the weight of emotion she refused to show. He stepped closer, searching her face. "You haven't forgiven me. And you haven't earned it." She turned and walked away, heels clicking like thunder across marble. Damon stood there, motionless, knowing for the first time what it meant to lose something truly irreplaceable. That night his phone buzzed. Logan again. Sir, there's something you need to see. He turned his screen toward Damon. A leaked document spreading across social media. Vera and Crosstech are both under investigation for data theft and fraud. Ayanna's name was trending, accusations, speculation, venom. Anonymous sources claimed she'd stolen Crosstech's proprietary code before leaving. Damon froze. He knew it wasn't true. The data had been transferred after her exit. Someone was framing her. Logan spoke quietly. Should we release a statement? Damon's jaw tightened.
No.
Not yet. He opened his laptop, typing fast, tracing the leaks, all leading to a familiar name. Edward Lasker, his former legal head. The same man who'd slipped the clause into Ayanna's contract. A surge of guilt hit him like lightning. He whispered to himself, I hurt her once by doing nothing. I won't make that mistake again. 2 days later, Ayanna was surrounded by chaos. Reporters outside, investors panicking, her board demanding answers. They think I stole from Crosstech, she said, voice shaking. They're trying to bury me again. Her assistant whispered, What if it's Damon? Ayanna clenched her fists. If he's behind this, I'll destroy everything he's ever built. But she didn't know. At that very moment, Damon Cross was already dismantling his own empire to protect her name. He just didn't tell her. Not yet. The storm had grown louder. New York media devoured the scandal. Corporate theft? Rising star or thief? Ayanna's name burned across every network. She stopped watching after the third day. Her lawyers called it a smear campaign, but no one could trace where it started. Her office felt colder than usual. Glass walls, silent phones, empty seats. Investors froze contracts. Board members whispered about replacing her. And still, she refused to break. They think they can erase me again, she told her assistant. Let them try. But inside, she was terrified. Late one night, while reviewing old files, she noticed something strange. A system key from her former Archie Line days, dated months after she'd been forced out. The same code the media claimed she'd stolen. Her breath caught. Someone inside Crosstech had planted it. Her mind went back to that rooftop conversation with Damon. His words, the regret in his eyes, the exhaustion he tried to hide. Could he be telling the truth? Meanwhile, Damon was tearing his world apart. In the privacy of his penthouse office, he'd spent nights tracing digital footprints. Line by line, code by code. He found what he needed. A hidden server, created by Edward Lasker, transferring Crosstech's data under Ayanna's name. Proof. She was innocent. But exposing the truth would cost him everything. If he revealed what Edward had done, the Crosstech board would collapse. Investors gone, stock destroyed, legacy lost. He poured himself a drink, staring at the skyline. His reflection fractured in the window. What's an empire worth? He murmured. If it's built on someone else's ruin? The next morning, he called a press conference. The room was packed, journalists, analysts, rival CEOs. Ayanna watched live from her office, jaw tight, ready to hear her enemy's next attack. Damon stepped to the podium, his expression calm but resolute. The allegations against Vera and Ms. Ayanna Blake are false, he began. The leaks originated from a former Crosstech executive, someone acting without my knowledge. All blame lies with me for not stopping it sooner. Gasps rippled through the room. Effective immediately, Damon continued. I'm stepping down as CEO of Crosstech. I take full responsibility for the actions of my team. The truth matters more than power. The room erupted in questions, cameras flashing, but he walked away, silent, leaving chaos behind him. Ayanna's phone buzzed relentlessly. Her PR team shouted, cried, celebrated. She sat in stunned silence, replaying his words. He'd given up everything for her. Hours later, she received an email. No subject, no signature. Just a line. Now you know. I never wanted to hurt you. I only wanted you to see me, beyond my mistakes. She closed her laptop, heart pounding. For the first time in months, she felt tears. Not anger, not triumph, grief. Because now she understood what forgiveness demanded. Not forgetting, but letting go. 2 weeks passed. Krosteka's shares plummeted. Damon disappeared from public view. Rumor said he sold everything and left Manhattan. One evening, after a long board meeting, Ayanna walked through the rain-drenched streets near the river. Lightning shimmered off skyscraper glass, reflections of her old life. Then, from across the park, she saw a familiar figure sitting alone on a bench, soaked, lost in thought. Damon. He looked nothing like the billionaire she'd known. Coat wrinkled, hair damp, eyes hollow but human. She hesitated, then walked toward him. "You're supposed to be somewhere on a yacht, hiding from the press," she said softly. He smiled faintly. "And you're supposed to hate me." "I tried. It didn't work." A silence settled between them, heavy, but not bitter. "Why did you do it?" she asked. "You could have blamed your lawyer and walked away clean." He looked at her, rain sliding down his jaw. "Because I ruined something I can't replace. I thought power made me untouchable. But the moment I lost you, I realized I was already broke." Her heart ached. She sat beside him. "You lost everything, Damon." "Not everything," he said quietly. "You're still here." She stared at him. The man who'd once shattered her career, now stripped of everything but honesty. "I don't know if I can trust you again," she whispered. "Then let me earn it. One day at a time." A raindrop fell on his wrist, and she reached out without thinking, brushing it away. Their hands lingered. No more anger, no more pride. Just two people who'd finally stopped running from themselves. That night, as they walked together through the quiet streets, Ayanna realized something. Forgiveness didn't erase the pain. It transformed it. What once felt like a wound now felt like a scar, permanent but no longer bleeding. When they reached her car, she turned to him. "You're still impossible," she said. "And you're still extraordinary." A faint smile curved her lips. "Don't make me regret forgiving you. Never again." Their eyes met, the kind of gaze that speaks of everything unspoken. And for the first time in what felt like years, Ayanna let herself breathe. Spring returned to New York like an apology. The skyline sparkled again, washed clean by months of rain and scandal. Vera Incorporated had survived the storm, stronger than ever. Investors returned, clients doubled, and Ayanna's name became a symbol of resilience, not revenge. Yet through all her triumphs, one absence lingered quietly. A name she didn't say aloud, but felt in every heartbeat. Damon Cross. He had vanished. Rumor said he was in Europe. Some claimed he was consulting for small startups under a false name. Others believed he'd given up business entirely. She never confirmed any of it. Some part of her wanted to let him go, to keep the forgiveness pure, untested by reality. But destiny doesn't like unfinished stories. 3 months later, she flew to Florence, Italy, for an international design summit. Vera had just launched its first European showroom. Bold, sleek, unapologetically global. During the welcome dinner, a representative approached her table. "Ms. Blake, we have a special guest consultant joining us tomorrow." He requested to stay off the press list. Ayanna nodded absently, until the next morning, when the doors opened and Damon Cross walked in. The room seemed to fade into silence. He wore a simple charcoal suit. No arrogance, no entourage, just calm, quiet composure. When his eyes met hers, time bent. "You," she whispered under her breath. He smiled gently this time. "Hello, Ayanna." The conference moderator noticed the tension but kept speaking, pretending not to sense the electricity crackling across the room. After the session, Damon approached her on the terrace overlooking the Arno River. Soft sunlight poured over the ancient bridges, a city older than both their pain. "You look peaceful," he said. "Maybe because I finally stopped trying to prove myself." "You never had to," he replied. She studied him carefully, the calm in his voice, the steadiness in his gaze. "So what are you doing here?" "Working with a non-profit incubator," he said. "Helping small tech founders who can't afford big investors." A soft smile curved her lips. "You? The man who once threatened to buy the moon. Turns out owning less feels better than owning everything." he said with a faint chuckle. They stood in silence for a moment, the breeze carrying the scent of blooming orange trees. You look happy, he added. I am, she said honestly. But I never stopped wondering if you were okay. His voice softened. I wasn't. Not until now. That evening, as the event closed with music and candlelight, they found themselves walking through the narrow Florentine streets, laughter slowly replacing old tension. He stopped at a small cafe, tucked away, quiet, golden. This place reminds me of you, he said. Beautiful, strong, impossible to ignore. She raised an eyebrow. You've been practicing your charm again. No, he smiled. I've been remembering what it's like to be honest. She laughed, the sound surprising her, light and genuine. They sat for hours, no business, no history, just conversation. And when silence finally came, it wasn't awkward. It was peaceful. Later, as they walked back toward the hotel, Damon hesitated. Ayanna, if I said I still love you, would that ruin this peace you've built? She looked at him, really looked. The man who'd once taken everything from her was now the one who'd given her back something greater, the freedom to love without fear. It wouldn't ruin it, she said softly. It might finally make sense of it. He took a slow step closer. Then I'll say it. I love you, not because I need you, but because you remind me of who I could be. Her throat tightened. She whispered, You hurt me more than anyone ever could. I know, he said, eyes glistening. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure the only tears I ever cause you again are from happiness. For a moment the world stood still. Then she reached up, her fingers brushing his cheek, and whispered, Then stop talking, Damon. He smiled. The city lights glowed around them. Bells rang faintly from the distant cathedral. 2 broken hearts finally whole. 6 months later. A feature on Forbes Lifestyle read, Ayanna Blake and Damon Cross, the couple redefining power and partnership. We didn't just rebuild our lives, Ayanna said. We rebuilt how we love, without fear, without ego, without pretending to be invincible. In a private moment, far from cameras, they sat together on the balcony of their Manhattan apartment, the skyline glittering like forgiveness itself. Do you ever regret it? She asked quietly. Hurting you? Every day. No, she smiled faintly. The journey, the pain. He took her hand, kissed her palm. If it led us here, then maybe even the pain was part of the healing. She rested her head on his shoulder. Outside, the city pulsed. Alive, relentless, beautiful. Inside there was peace. Love had not erased their scars. It had redeemed them. And in the city of glass towers, where power once ruled every heartbeat, 2 people finally learned that the strongest thing you can build is forgiveness. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional, beautiful, billionaire love stories. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.